More news, sports, and talk on The Watchdog.
As I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I take a look at my life and realize there's nothing left. Cause I've been blasting and laughing so long that even my mama thinks that my mind is gone. But I ain't never crossed a man that didn't deserve it. Me be treated like a punk, you know that's unheard of. You better watch how you're talking and where you're walking, or you and your homies might be lying to chalk. I really hate the trip, but I gotta low. As they croak, I see myself in the pistol smoke. Fool, I'm the kind of G the little homies wanna be like, on my knees in the night, saying prayers in the street light.
All right, you're listening to the Watchdog Afternoon Drive. My name is DJ Danner, taking you through up until 5 p.m. right here on FM 98.1, AM 1600 WKKX, FM WVLY 97.7, and AM 1370. The phone number to call in to talk sports with us this hour, 304-214-1600. Lola, the best game in the NFL took place last night. You didn't get a chance to see it. Let's relive what you missed, because it had everything. It had absolutely everything, and it wasn't that far away. It was up in Cleveland. The Browns getting a Monday night football game, hosting the Ravens, and it was just back and forth. It was best game of the year. Probably one of the best games I've seen probably last 5-8 years in general. Vegas was affected by this game, even. The last play of the game, that's where I'm going to start talking about this. The last play of the game, Baltimore ended up getting a safety on Cleveland because they kept throwing the ball around, trying to kind of get down, because they had to score a touchdown to obviously, they had to score a field goal, I believe, to tie it. And they didn't get it. It was 47-42 was the final. And it was crazy. It was supposed to be a 3-point game. It was going to be 45-42. Ended up with the safety, put Baltimore at 47. Cyrus is coming back next week. I saw him on social media. He was loving it last night as a Ravens fan. But Lamar Jackson, he was in the locker room. He was out of the game, and then all of a sudden, their backup quarterback goes down. He comes like Superman out. That's what everybody keeps saying. Like Superman coming out of the locker room, comes down, and leads them on the next play. It was insane. And then people started questioning, well, was he in there using the restroom? That's
what I heard today.
That was a big question. He goes, no, I didn't pull Paul Pierce. He goes, I was really cramping really bad. And he was hobbling a little bit coming out of the locker room, but then they scored a touchdown, and he's flying down there. So, I kind of question, I don't know. I kind of question it a little bit, but the still fact is, it was awesome what he did. It was very gutsy what he did, but I'm sitting there, I'm like, you're flying down after they scored that touchdown so fast. I'm sitting there like, you couldn't have kind of sucked it up a little bit more, I guess, and maybe not had your backup in there, I guess,
Well, now
it's weird.
If he truly had a bathroom emergency,
which has happened in sports.
Yes, and happens to all of us at some point in our lives. You can't blame him.
No, you can't. And I think that's why everybody was kind of thinking it was that, because he came out, he was hobbling a little bit coming out of the locker room, but then when he scored when he threw that touchdown pass, he was just bolting down there to celebrate. And that's the red flag. That was like, did you have to use the restroom, or were you really cramping? And to me, I'm sitting there, I'm like, well, if you were really cramping, you only came out once the backup quarterback got hurt. So I'm like, wouldn't you as a starter want to be out there if you can? I don't know.
It takes a while for Gatorade to kick in.
Well, he was probably getting pumped with some IVs. He's probably there's probably other things going on back in the locker room. But anyways, so they score, and then Baker goes down, and I tell you what, everybody was all about get rid of Baker, get rid of him. You've got to let some of these guys develop. You can't just say, hey, listen, you get 2 years and that's it, or after 1 year, I'm done. You know what? If you can't turn around a franchise in 1 year, you're done. Let's move on to the next. You're giving Baker time to develop, and everybody wants to be a critic, and obviously, and I get it, especially when you talk sports radio or sports on TV, everybody's a critic. Everybody says, oh, hey, they lost the game. Let's just kind of just go ahead and just kick him out. But Baker, I tell you what, you give him time. I do think he's going to be around for a long time. I think he has the capability in a couple of years to maybe even be MVP kind of caliber. It's going to take time. But Cleveland looks legit. I mean, they got beat by the Ravens bad the first game of the season. And now to compete where they're at, I mean, this was a loss for Cleveland, but also a win for Cleveland. And it works out for Pittsburgh because Pittsburgh, obviously, they've already clinched a playoff spot, but, they needed Baltimore to win that game. Pittsburgh is undefeated in the division. They still got to play Cleveland, of course, but you still have a 2-game buffer, on the division, so that kind of helped out. And Baltimore needed that win. I mean, let's be honest here. Baltimore needed that win more than Cleveland did. But I think both teams come out winners in the long haul, and the NFL wins big because they had the best game of the year, and it was a Monday night game. But it was really cool. It reminded me a little bit of the Chiefs and Rams game a couple years ago. Remember that one where it was like 56-52?
Yeah.
That was insane. But let's go down through here. Let's start with the AFC. Buffalo, of course, taking care of Pittsburgh at Buffalo. A lot of that said it motivated them was obviously Pittsburgh dancing on their logo a little bit before pregame. I don't know how much I buy into that. I think Pittsburgh's just kind of going through like a little bit of a slump, obviously, right now, and their schedule being so screwed up the past couple weeks. And I'm not a Steeler fan, so I'm not trying to stick up for them. But I think if you're a Pittsburgh fan, just relax, calm down. They're still going to be fine once they get to the playoffs. I think they get to the title game still. It's just going through Kansas City. It's not going through Pittsburgh now. But Buffalo sitting 10-3. Miami sitting at 8-5. Tough loss against Kansas City, but they kind of got a taste of what it's going to take to kind of pull up and upset the playoffs if they can get there, which I think Miami is going to get into the playoffs. I really do. New England 6-7, kind of just teetering back and forth. I think the playoff streak's over. I don't see New England being able to bounce back here. Pittsburgh, of course, we just talked about 11-2. Cleveland 9-4 now after that loss. Baltimore moves to 8-5. Cincy obviously already gone 2-10-1. Tennessee, Indiana, that's just, it's becoming a very interesting division. I don't know which one of the two I take, but both of them are sitting right now at 9-4. Houston and Jacksonville, of course, both eliminated. Kansas City, number 1 seed, you got to think all but got it wrapped up, 12-1. Las Vegas is the one I think it's really hurting right now. Even though they're 7-6, I think they need to kind of get situated, and they need to get situated like now. I think they need to basically win out. I don't think they can afford to lose another game this season. Denver, all in all, pretty much done 5-8. And the Chargers, like I said, that was my biggest what-if team. What if the ball would have rolled the other way, or what happens if they would have got this call or that call? 4-9, they're going to be playing spoilers the rest of the way last 3 weeks. When you look at the NFC East, I think the Cinderella's got to be Washington. Would you agree to this or disagree? I think the feel-good story is the Washington football team.
I agree.
They lose the name, the team name. You can debate that all you want. It is what it is. The fact is, it's over with. Can't really debate that, or can't really argue about that anymore. Alex Smith, comeback player of the year. You got to think. They got another win. They're 6-7. They might end the season 8-8, and then that wins the division. And then you look at Rivera battling cancer. Their coach. And I don't know anybody else. I don't know anybody else could pick. I don't know who anybody else could pick. That's what I'm about to say.
No, I agree.
Washington's got to be the feel-good story. The Giants starting to fall apart, 5-8. Philly, they got the win, 4-8-1, but you're playing a Saints team that didn't have Drew Brees. You're playing at your home. Jalen Hurts, and a lot of people don't have footage on him yet, so now you're starting to get some footage on him. And it's great that he won, but I don't is he going to be your franchise now going forward? What's going to happen with Wentz? Philly, I don't know. 4-8-1, yeah, they can still sneak back in there.
What's the Saints record?
Well, that's what we're getting to the Saints here in a second. Dallas, 4-9 right now. They went out they end up winning the division at 7-9. They can because
That's pathetic.
that's pathetic. Yeah, but if they win out and have Washington and the Giants could easily fumble. They don't have Barkley. I mean, they could easily fumble. Dallas, I don't think they do it, but I'm just saying if they're going to, they need to start this weekend for the playoff push. Green Bay 10-3, all but locked up. They got the division locked up. Now they're just kind of sitting and waiting. Minnesota, Chicago 6-7. That's the big question this weekend. I think out of all the games, which we're going to talk about, the games coming up this weekend, which we have Thursday games, Saturday games now, Sunday games, of course, and Monday game. So we got 4 days coming up of watching the NFL, which is awesome. But Minnesota, Chicago, that is my most intriguing game coming up. We'll talk about the other games coming up here shortly. Detroit, 5-8, just trying to play spoiler at this point. Technically, they're mathematically still alive. I don't see them doing anything, though.
I don't either.
Saints-
Matthews hurt again.
Yeah. So it's just, Detroit's being Detroit.
Yeah.
The Saints sitting at 10-3. Them and Green Bay, who's going to get the bye? That's what it's going to come down to. Who's going to get the bye between those two teams? Tampa Bay 8-5. I think they've all pretty much secured their spot. They're going to win probably at least one more, if not two more games, and finish out either. I think they go 10-6, and that's what I had them at the beginning of the season. Atlanta already eliminated. Carolina, they're still hanging out, but they're 4-9. They're going to be eliminated after this week. Rams and Seahawks sitting at 9-4 in the West. It's going to come down. I think Seattle still takes this division. And Seattle was my Super Bowl pick against Kansas City. That's who I said. I'm sticking with them. Arizona 7-6. They've got a key game coming up against Philly, and that's going to be a good game between that's going to be a good game between the two young quarterbacks, Hurts and Murray, and that's going to be. It's not as intriguing to me as the Minnesota Chicago game, but it's still one that I want to kind of keep an eye on. 49ers pretty much all and done there. So let's look at the playoff spots here. Let's start with the AFC, of course. Like I said, Kansas City sitting at 1, Pittsburgh right now sitting at 2, Buffalo sitting at 3. They would bump up to 2 if Pittsburgh can get another loss in there. Tennessee right now has control of that division, even though they're tied. They own the tiebreaker. They're at 4 at 9-4. Browns sitting at 5 at 9-4. They come up. They get another night game. They're Monday night against the Giants, which will be an interesting game. Colts sitting at 6 at 9-4, and then Miami sitting at 8-5. And you got Baltimore and Las Vegas on the outside looking in at 8-9. Baltimore 8-5. Las Vegas sitting at 7-6. It's still hard for me to say Las Vegas, by the way. I want to say Los Angeles every time. I think Baltimore gets in. My question is, does Indy have enough to get through? Does Indy end up going on a little slide, and Baltimore somehow gets in? That's going to be the question for me. I think Miami does enough to get in. When you look at the NFC, Green Bay right now technically has the tiebreaker at 10-3. They're at 1. New Orleans sitting at 2. Then you got the Rams at 3. Washington, even though they have a losing record because they would be divisional champs, get a home game. Lola, you're not a big fan of that.
No, I'm not. Absolutely not.
Well, this happened before in the past. They had a chance to change it. They didn't. They're going to roll with the dice.
It should just be the top, however many teams there are. And this divisional winner thing is because that's what happens. You have under par teams coming into the playoffs. They have no business being there, while you've got far better teams that came in second or so, and they're not in it.
So you would have Seattle at 5 right now. Tampa Bay would be at 6. Arizona right now would be at 7. Minnesota was my pick, though. I think Minnesota gets back and they get that 7th spot. So right now, let's keep Arizona. Obviously, they're 7. So right now, Seattle would be going to Washington. That's how the playoffs would work. Tampa Bay would be going to L.A. to face the Rams in a rematch. And Arizona would be heading to New Orleans. That if the playoffs would start today. In the AFC, you would have Cleveland going to Tennessee, which you already saw what they did to Tennessee once. Indy would be going to Buffalo, and Miami would be going to Pittsburgh. If the playoffs would start today, you'd have Kansas City and Green Bay sitting with the byes right now. How do you see this playing out, Lola? Is there any you see any shockers coming out, or you think it's pretty clear cut? How you looking at the NFL right now?
Well, truthfully, there is so much parity but then you've got these terrible teams that are somehow going to get in the playoffs. And once everything before the playoffs is postseason. It doesn't really matter. Get to the playoffs. It doesn't matter what your record is. When you get in the playoffs, it's an entirely different animal. So, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. That's for sure.
We talk about I talked about the Chargers, about being that team that could shake up things in the playoffs, be like kind of the spoiler.
Yeah.
They start their spoiling streak on Thursday this week. They are at Las Vegas. Las Vegas cannot afford, the Raiders cannot afford to lose this game.
That just sounds so weird to me. Las Vegas
It is.
Raiders.
But that it should be a game that Las Vegas wins, but I don't know. I'm probably going with the Chargers this week. I think the Chargers, they start playing spoiler this week. Bills and Broncos coming up on Saturday. We talked about we have a couple games Saturday. Panthers are at the Packers. I mean, those are games that the Bills and Green Bay should win, but we'll see. Cowboys got bumped out of Sunday Night Football. How about that? They got bumped out. Them and the 49ers, they are going to play at 1 o'clock now on Sunday. Seattle and Washington, it's not as that intrigued to me. I think Seattle begins to get their kind of groove back. I think it starts this week. I think they do beat Washington. That Bears-Vikings game, that's the one I'm looking at. That, to me, determines everything.
A lot.
To me, that determines everything for that last wild card. Patriots at Dolphins, to me, that's not, I mean, but Miami always puts up a tough game when they host New England. Baltimore should take care of Jacksonville. Tampa should take care of Atlanta. Titans should take care of the Lions coming up. Colts should take care of the Texans. These are games that these teams need to win. You can't have any upsets this week. The Eagles and Cardinals, like I said, it's a little bit intriguing, but because of the two young quarterbacks. But I don't think Philly has enough to kind of come back and win the division. Arizona, even if Philadelphia wins this game, I still don't see Philly winning that division. But Arizona, I mean, they need to win that. And then the Rams hosting with the first pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Jets. How pathetic.
Playing for a pick.
Yeah, I mean, you have a Super Bowl winning MVP as your quarterback at times on that team in Flacco. How bad is How bad does that hit his legacy if they go 0-16?
Well,
the fact that he was on the team.
It's not just his fault.
I know, but I'm just saying. But people are going to say, "Well, you were on that team that went 0-16."
I know.
It's just not. I don't know anybody. I don't see them winning, Lola. I really don't see them winning the game. Sunday night game, I mean, that's the big game I think everybody is waiting for, but is Breeze going to play or not? Yeah. Chiefs and Saints. Is that really going to be something of a game? And that's indoors, not having to deal with the weather conditions. Can you imagine Patrick Mahomes and that offense if they played in a dome?
Oh.
How scary that team would be. And then, of course, Sunday night, you got Browns and Giants. Cleveland should win that game, but, the Giants still relevant in the division. And then Monday night game's a joke. I mean, Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. I just don't see that really kind of being anything. I think Pittsburgh's going to kind of get it back on the wheel of thing. I think Pittsburgh wins their division, too. I think everybody kind of just needs to relax. I look at Indianapolis. I think they're the team in the AFC that I'm most intrigued about because they play Houston at home, and then they're at Pittsburgh the following week. So that game at Pittsburgh is obviously going to have playoff implications on it. I think Jacksonville, we win that game, but the fact that they could still go 10-6 and miss the playoffs. I think you could have a 10-team win or 10-win team in the AFC not making the playoffs.
That's not right.
Well, I said AFC, not the NFC.
It doesn't matter. It's not right.
Well, you just want to let everybody in?
No, but I don't believe that a team that is particularly under 500 or at 500 should get in the playoffs.
But Washington's that feel-good story of the year.
Well, good for Washington. I'll feel good about them, but that doesn't mean they deserve to be in the playoffs.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens for sure. But I do. I think you're going to have a 10-win team in the AFC not make the playoffs. In the NFC, I don't see anybody. In the NFC, I don't see anybody winning 10 games and being left out. I don't see it happening.
See, the Lions have been screwed by that in the past. Seattle had a worse record than the Lions did, and Seattle went to the playoffs, and we
I
didn't.
remember that was the year they played the Rams on Sunday Night Football to close out the season. And when you look ahead, okay, Lola, before we go to break real quick, because I know break's coming up here very shortly. Let's go to Week 17. Okay, I'm going to skip 15 and 16, and let's go to 17. We talked about this a little bit last week. What could be the final game of the regular season? And it is absolutely taking way too long. So, Lola, we might have to go to break. We're going to talk. Oh, no, he just popped up. Hold on. It just popped up. Because when you look at the last week of the season, I said Steelers-Browns, that could be the potential last game of the season. And I think it's going to be the Dolphins and the Bills. I think the Dolphins and Bills could end it. Cardinals and Rams, maybe. I don't know. But I think those three, I think you're looking at that. That's probably going to end the season. So we'll kind of wait and see. Wait and see what happens. But we're going to be talking college football coming up. I know a lot of folks unhappy right now with college football, with how everything's kind of breaking down. We're also going to talk Major League Baseball. We got some breaking news with the NBA coming up on a big signing today. It just happened about an hour ago. And then, of course, like I said, we're going to talk about Major League Baseball and so much more coming up. You're listening to The Watchdog.
Does this current crisis leave you wondering how to pay your bills? Well, a lot of people are struggling right now. I'm attorney Tom McIntyre. Call me today to schedule your telephone or video conference meeting, and I will send you a copy of my new book about bankruptcy, When Bad Things Happen to Good People. Call 877-456-4155. Together, we will figure out what to do now and what to do when this is over. We will get through this together.
Does your dog need groomed or walked? Are you looking for a pet sitter or dog boarding options? If so, call Dirty Paws, Wheeling's newest pet care service, providing the Ohio Valley with everyone's pet care needs. Check us out on Facebook at Dirty Paws WHG or call 304-639-7754.
In a hurry and need to see a doctor? The Woodsdale Health Center and Walk-In Clinic is located across from Little Caesars on National Road. Open 7 to 7 Monday through Friday. Patients can receive primary care, treatment of minor illnesses and injuries, wellness visits and physicals. There's also a lab draw station open from 8 to noon weekdays. A division of Wheeling Hospital, the Woodsdale Health Center is led by family physician Dr. Michael Wilson. Call 304-234-1971. They'll take good care of you.
For all of your IT needs, visit OmniPerforms.com. Omni Strategic Technologies, the only IT company that the Watchdog trusts.
Now, during the Jim Robinson Ford Lincoln Toyota Pre-Owned Super Sale, select from over 80 vehicles in stock starting under $5,000. Most are local trades, many with one owner. Hurry to Jim Robinson at the Highlands, home of lifetime powertrain protection. Now, during the Jim Robinson Ford Lincoln Toyota Pre-Owned Super Sale, select from over 80 vehicles in stock starting under $5,000. Most are local trades, many with one owner. Hurry to Jim.
Are you or your loved ones facing a serious legal battle? The law office of Paul Harris wants you to know you aren't alone. Do you need someone that's not afraid to go to trial and fight for your rights? Attorney Paul Harris and his team are willing to go where most firms are not. The courtroom. With a successful track record in civil litigation, criminal defense, including tax issues and healthcare fraud, Harris Law Office will fight for their clients by offering the most aggressive representation in and out of court. Call Paul Harris at Harris Law Office for a free consultation. 304-232-5300.
The Original Undo's in Benwood is the perfect place to enjoy the big game, great food, and the company around you. The outdoor patio is the best kept secret in Marshall County, featuring plenty of big screen HD TVs, an outdoor beer garden, and NFL and MLB packages so you don't miss a second of the action. With the holiday season fast approaching, don't forget about Undo's Catering. Perfect for holiday parties, family gatherings, conferences, weddings, or any event large or small. Check out undos.com for menus, specials, entertainment, and more. Undo's Family Restaurants, family owned since 1953.
Throughout the Ohio Valley, back to school is looking different. Each day, parents, teachers, students, coaches, and administrators are finding solutions to situations that are unprecedented. All of us at the Highlands appreciate everything you are doing and are here for the items you need. Visit hitthehighlands.com for the current guidelines and updated contact information of our retailers and restaurants.
A serious injury from an accident can be just the start of your worries. What if you cannot return to work? How do you take care of your family if you're disabled? At Gelner Law Offices, we represent seriously injured people and understand their problem. We know how to get you fair compensation. We will work hard to make sure you get the money you deserve for your losses. Don't go it alone. If you're hurt in an accident, call us at 304-242-2900 or visit us at gelnerlaw.com.
We'd like to help.
The Mountaineers zoom up the polls. Hi, everybody. I'm Tony Caridi. That story coming up on today's Mountaineer Report, brought to us by Kroger, the official grocer of WVU Athletics.
Did you know that 1 in 8 Americans struggle with hunger? Yet more than 40% of the food we produce is thrown out. At Kroger, we know we can do something about this. We're donating more food to local food banks through our partnership with Feeding America. And we're working with World Wildlife Fund to end food waste. But we can't do it alone, and we hope you'll join us in creating a world with zero hunger and zero waste. Visit thekrogerco.com to learn how you can help.
Love getting prices that are lower than low on backyard favorites like grill-ready hamburgers and fresh-picked strawberries? Then shop at Kroger. We give you more ways to save on the fresh you love with tools like the Kroger app, where you can find personalized coupons on top of weekly sales. Plus, rewards like fuel points, giving you prices that are lower than the everyday low. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
The on-court success of the Mountaineer basketball team continues to pay dividends. On Monday, West Virginia jumped 3 spots in both the Associated Press Top 25 poll and the USA Today Coaches poll. WVU is now number 8 in the AP and number 7 in the Coaches poll. But the big board, the Ken Pomeroy numbers, which are actually analytically based and not subjective like the Associated Press and the Coaches poll, has West Virginia doing even better than that. The computer says that West Virginia is number 6 in the country. The Mountaineers getting high tabs for their adjusted offensive performance. They're 14th best in the country among all college teams. And on the defensive side, they come in at number 10 in adjusted defense. That's impressive. But consider this, that the Big 12 is loaded with great defensive teams. Ken Pomeroy's numbers, as I said, have West Virginia at 6. Baylor comes in at 2. Texas is at 5. Texas Tech at number 8. And Kansas comes in at number 9. The upcoming Big 12 conference battles are going to be absolutely titanic and probably heavy on the defensive side. Taking a look at the conference's numbers, most teams have played anywhere between 4 to 7 games at this point. Scoring, West Virginia currently right in the middle in the Big 12, averaging 77 points per game. Baylor leads the way at almost 91. Defensively, West Virginia 7th best in the league, giving up 69 points per game. And here's a stat for you, one that shouldn't change once league play starts. West Virginia's free throw shooting, currently number 3 in the Big 12. That could be big down the road. That is today's Mountaineer Report, brought to us by Kroger, the official grocer of WVU Athletics. I'm Tony Caridi in the Mountaineer Sports Network from Learfield, IMG College.
From our family to yours, season's greetings.
This is Biff from the Watchdog, wishing you a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays from the Watchdog. AM 1600 WKKX and AM 1370 WVLY.
Give us a call and tell us what you're thinking. Locally, 304-214-1600. Out of the area, toll free, 866-514-1600. or 304-232-TALK.
Pardon my manners, girl, how you shake it, gotta play a life. It's a Kodak moment, let me go and get my camera. All I wanna know is sexy, can I hit it from the front, then I hit it from the back, know you like it like that.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to the Watchdog Afternoon Drive right here. My name is DJ Danner, taking you through up until 5 p.m. And let's get away from football real quick, and let's go to the big story in Major League Baseball. Lola, you heard the Indians, after 105 years, they are pulling the plug on the name, and they will either have a new name at the beginning of this season, the 2021 season coming, or they'll have it at least by 2022. Lola, what's your thoughts on it? Because I saw everybody's opinion on it on social media. What's yours?
Well, it's about time, I guess. But you know, pick a name right out of the box. Don't do what Washington did and become, you know, the Cleveland baseball team. Pick a name. Somebody suggested Biffy yesterday. Cleveland Rocks. The Rocks. That makes sense. They've already got a theme song then. I mean, you know, and you got the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, all that, tie it all in together. That is good to me. Just don't get rid of the red C for Cleveland, you know.
I got mixed feelings about it. To me, like, Indians are my childhood. Like, I grew up, obviously, Major League the movie. You know what I mean? Like, it's staple, one of the best baseball movies ever made. Not saying the other ones were, but just the first one especially. I question the decision of all of a sudden now they're changing it this year. I wonder if certain events didn't happen this year, whether it would even be on the table. You know, and I have to tread lightly on talking about that kind of stuff too. But yeah, I question why all of a sudden this year. And
well, because it's a trend that is going across the country.
You're just open. To me, I feel like you're just opening up a can of worms that where like you're gonna have to rename so many other teams.
Well,
because
it's
just never gonna stop.
That could be coming.
And I think it is eventually. I mean, I think over the next 10 years, you're always gonna have, like, once you've opened up that Pandora's box of just people complaining, and I just got mixed feelings about it. I think if they should have changed it, then they should have changed it a long time ago, and not now all of a sudden.
When they dropped the Chief Wahoo.
Yeah, Chief Wahoo. Logo. Yeah, and I thought that I was fine with that. I was like, you know what, that's fine. I thought that was accommodating, but I don't know. I mean, everybody's got an opinion on it. I don't want to. Lola, you know, I'm not racist, anything like that. But I just was shocked that it happened I was like, you know, really, like this year? Okay. Some of the names coming out. You said Rocks. Cleveland Spiders was mentioned. The Guardians, to me, I thought was the best one. The Cleveland Guardians. And one website already had a logo out for it. And I was like, okay. I was like, that's not bad.
What are they guarding?
What is it?
What are they guarding?
I don't know. I didn't ask for the background story. I just saw the names. We can do that next week. They're not going to pick a name within the next 7 days. I can tell you that. The Cleveland Wild Things. I love that one, actually. I don't think that's going to be picked, though. But I do. I like that one a lot. Cleveland Buckeyes. I didn't really care for that one, even though it's Buckeye State. I didn't flow. The Rocks. The Rocks were good. When you said that, I was like, yeah, that's on. Naps. I didn't really understand that one. But to me, I think the Rocks, the Guardians, and I think the Spiders will be on there too, just because there's a backstory to that.
What is the backstory?
I'd have to look it back up and read it, which I can find here in just a little bit. But I think that's going to be So when you go to the Spiders up here,
maybe it was a minor league team or something.
This has been the most popular choice. This name references the short-lived baseball team in Cleveland that lasted from 1889 to 1899. The history of the Spiders is actually pretty interesting, as the team owners decided to buy a second team and moved all of the good players there. Somehow this was legal, and this left the Spiders to rot as they finished 20 and 134. Wow. The Guardians, and like I said, they already had the logo and everything. Cleveland Guardians designed this project almost a year ago, just in case this day ever came. The name is taken on the Guardians of Traffic statues seen through Cleveland. And I was like, okay. The name is a good choice as it honors something specific for Cleveland, and the statues provide nice artwork for logos and more. Pretty cool. Cleveland Rockers. That's Rocks, which would be shortened, obviously. This name has been floating around Twitter as the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is located in Cleveland. Name isn't terrible, but I'm not sure whether the Indians would be allowed to use it. The Cleveland Rockers also existed as a WNBA team that played from 1997 to 2003. So that might take it out. What is it?
They're defunct. So why should the name be locked up forever because of a team that shut its doors 10, 12 years ago?
I don't know. It is what it is. So we'll kind of wait and see what the name is. The Cleveland Steamer, and that was the other one I was looking for. Thanks, shout out to Jerry Ames. The Cleveland Steamer, that one is also getting a lot of attention. And he sent me a logo too. I'm fine with the Rocks, Cleveland Rocks.
I am too.
I'm fine with that one. But yeah, that was obviously the big news in baseball. NBA, Giannis signed with the Milwaukee Bucks. He re-signed a $228 million contract. He's like, I live here. This is my home. This is where I'm staying.
Haven't we heard that from other players?
Well, I tell you what, he's going to shake up free agency next year. The following year, he's going to shake up free agency big time because now he's saying he's staying. So he's trying to build a powerhouse squad. NBA, of course, started preseason, and they're trying to get the season kicked off, I believe, on Christmas, which is going to be huge for the NBA. It's going to be great for ratings. They do a great job. I feel like how they market their Christmas games. I always felt like they did a great job. Let's go to some sad news. Of course, we had heard over the weekend. Tommy Lister, former WWE superstar. Remember Zeus?
No.
Oh, you never followed WWF?
No.
I still call it WWF.
No.
Yeah, Zeus, Tommy Lister. He was also in the movie Friday. He died at the age of 62. It was sad to see him. He was in the movie with Hulk Hogan. No Holds Bar, I think was the name of it. And then his character came out of the movie and became a storyline in WWF, which is now WWE, of course.
Okay.
I get into wrestling. I got a couple guys that are friends and acquaintances that get into wrestling around here. We're going to do a wrestling segment at some point. We have to talk about. Undertaker, of course, just finished his career with 30 years. And I love watching the old videos, the old wrestling videos. But nothing beats back in the 90s and early 2000s. That's what I always say. Nothing beats that time, ever. Kind of sports news, but kind of also Hollywood news. Mighty Ducks are coming back. Did you hear about that?
No.
TV series.
A
Disney
TV
announces the
series?
new Mighty Ducks Game Changers series. They did not give it a release date, but they gave the actual teaser, the preview, and it was pretty interesting. Gordon Bombay looks like he works not as a lawyer now, so I want to hear his backstory. But of course, Mighty Ducks was a huge movie.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, they created the NHL team.
Yeah.
You know, it's insane. But I was excited to see that that's coming back.
Well, that'll probably be on Disney Plus.
It will be. They have said that it will be. But it's going to be interesting because it's a series and not a movie. So
It's something you can binge in a weekend with your kids.
Exactly. Let's go to college football. Jerry texted me too. I can't repeat what Jerry texted me, but he wasn't happy. Michigan apparently has canceled their game this week too against Iowa. So, Lola, I know you're a Michigan fan, but, there's going to be, this is going to carry over into 2021. You know that, right?
I don't know what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
when Michigan has to play Ohio State next year, Ohio State's going to go out and they're going to have no mercy.
They don't have mercy every year.
You just got to hope their recruits.
No different.
You just got to hope their recruits aren't as good as the ones they got this year. But I mean, Ohio State's going to.
If they've got high COVID numbers on the team, what do you want them to do, people? What do you want them to do?
There were reports they were already back in the weight room a couple days after that game was canceled.
And then more people maybe got tested positive. I don't know.
Do you think Harbaugh stays?
Huh?
Do you think Harbaugh stays or goes?
He's staying. They're giving him another contract extension.
Well,
That's what I heard. I mean, that's what the media reports out of Michigan are saying. But I'm just, I think it's responsible of anybody, regardless of what team it is, what league it's in, what conference it's in, if they cancel a game because numbers are bad. I mean, this is not like any normal year where you go, well, we might get our asses handed to us, so we're not going to play. That's not this year. I just have little patience with people that right away want to say, oh, it's because they're afraid or they don't want to do this or they don't want to do that. This is not the year to say that kind of stuff.
Let me ask you this with Ohio State. If they win the Big Ten, you let them in? Do you personally, do you let them in with as many games as they played?
They've already changed the rules to allow them in.
I was just asking.
Truthfully, I don't care. I don't care. I'm resigned to the fact that Michigan can't beat Ohio State. I don't care what the circumstances are. If Ohio State can weasel their way into the playoffs and the Big Ten or the big championship games, have at it. Have at it. The boys have worked long and hard. It's not their fault that they couldn't play the appropriate number of games. It was the conference's fault. So,
Speaking of playing the games, this was the story I took away from most since the last time I was here last Tuesday. Boston College says it will not participate in a bowl game, becoming the first bowl-eligible team to announce it would not play in the postseason. Athletic director Pat Kraft and coach Jeff Hafley said the decision was made as a team after getting significant player input. They pointed to everything the players had to do to make it through a season during the coronavirus pandemic, including not being able to see friends and family after they returned to campus over the summer. In addition, there were no guarantees that any bowl they would even have been selected to play in would go on as scheduled. We talked about that last week about how one bowl game has already been canceled. Since students returned to campus in late June, Boston College has administered more than 9,000 COVID-19 tests. Only one football player tested positive in the final week of the regular season. Hafley said he noted during practice last week that his team was mentally and physically exhausted. For them to stay healthy and stay away from COVID, it took more out of them than anybody has any idea, Hafley said on a Zoom call with reporters. They're worn out. As we look now with other teams continuing to battle COVID, it's getting worse, and for us to go through 3 weeks of practice, continue to stay healthy, continue to stay away from our families, and not know, is the bowl game really going to happen? Are we going to miss Christmas with our families and then be told on the 25th that we're really not going to play?
I don't blame him.
I thought it was a powerful statement. I thought it was a powerful statement. And then he went on to say, the way we went about things this year because the COVID-19 pandemic has been going on and is how precious and how vital each game and each moment is, linebacker Max Richardson said. In June, we didn't know whether we'd be able to play one game or not, so playing 11 is a bit of closure in itself. So now you're hearing from a player on that, which is great, and you're going to be hearing a lot more, I think, once the season gets completely over, because I think some coaches, I'm not going to name drop which ones I think, but I think some coaches are basically telling their kids out the gate, listen, don't talk to the media. Don't give them any more than they need to get. You know what I mean? But it's going to be interesting to hear from more. But yeah, Boston College, I took that story out of everything I saw this weekend with college football. Obviously, Florida and LSU was a big topic. I mean, who throws a shoe, honestly? I mean, and that wild play, was he out of bounds? Was he in bounds? Regardless, the play stood the way it stood, and it'll go down as one of the craziest plays of the year. But LSU knocking off Florida. And Lola, somebody must have been paying attention last week because somebody did the bracket, how I talked about doing 16 teams.
Okay.
Here's how it would break down. Now, they changed the bowls out. They changed one of the bowls out. If they went to 16 teams, which I said they should have made a decision last week or this week coming, and just do it this way, it's the fairest thing to do, and it would get you more viewership. It would make more money for the sponsors. Alabama would be number 1. They would play 16 Iowa, who obviously is not playing Michigan now this week. Number 9, Georgia, would go to Cincinnati and play them, which would be number 8. So these first round games, like I said, would be held at whoever the higher seed is, their stadium. Number 5, Texas A&M would travel to number 12, Indiana. Texas A&M would host Indiana. My apologies. I looked at that wrong. Number 4, Ohio State would host number 13, Coastal Carolina. And then in the next bracket, Notre Dame would be number 2. They would host USC. Always a good game between those two schools. Number 7, Iowa State would host number 10, Miami. And then the bracket down, Florida, sitting at 6, would host Oklahoma at number 11. And Clemson would round out number 3. They would host Northwestern at 14. Now, the 4 bowl games that this guy selected would be the Peach Bowl, which was one I selected, the Fiesta Bowl, which is one I selected, Capital One Orange Bowl, which is one I selected, and then he changed out. He actually had the Cotton Bowl. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'd take that one. And then the Final 4 would be held at the Rose Bowl and the Sugar Bowl, with the title game being held back at the Orange Bowl, because obviously the Orange Bowl gets the bid for the Orange Bowl itself, and then obviously the title game. Common sense. Looks great on paper, doesn't it?
Yeah, so are they going to do it?
I doubt it, but I mean, to me, I'm like, I don't know why you wouldn't.
Because it makes sense,
what's the hold up?
DJ. You just said it yourself.
What's the hold up? I get every other year why you want to debate this and say, well, no, with the tradition of this conference always plays this conference in this bowl game. That's fine. Every other year, you could use that card. It's the year of COVID.
I know.
Just try it one time. Try it one time.
Let's just get it done and over with.
How many college names do you think are going to have to get changed? We talk about the Indians getting changed. Look at the college names.
Oh, I don't know.
The downward spiral of that is now in effect. Because now you had Washington in football in the NFL, Cleveland now in Major League.
Well, and you get the Blackhawks in.
I was just going to say that.
hockey.
You beat me to it.
The Chiefs, Kansas City. Let me see. The Braves in Atlanta. The Mohegans, which is, I know that's a high school team, Mohegans, but seems to me that there's at least a semi-pro team or something with that name too.
I think the colleges will be affected. I give it 2 years.
Well, they've already gone through the colleges several years ago and changed mascots and.
I think you're going to see more of it.
Like that. Probably.
I just think you will.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much going to wrap up our sports talk coming up, and we'll see. We'll see how the dominoes kind of fold and things in college football. It's definitely it's going to be an exciting weekend to come, and then we'll kind of see where everybody lies. But Ohio State, that's the big thing is, they win this game. You look about their competition. Are they worthy enough to get that 4th seed? Clemson, Notre Dame, of course, going to play each other. What do you do if Clemson beats Notre Dame? You knock Notre Dame out?
I don't know.
At Texas A&M, looking pretty tough.
Greater minds than mine have tried to figure this out.
Alabama, is going to be in there. They're not leaving anywhere. I think it's going to be Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, and Texas A&M. And I'm a Notre Dame fan. I think Notre Dame's going to end up losing. The ACC title game, I think they're going to lose it. My gut's telling me that. I don't want him to, but I think that's what's going to happen. Because I don't see him doing this 16 team. I just don't see it.
No,
possible.
I'm sure they won't. I told you, it's logical. They won't do it.
Let's end on this. Giannis's big contract, $228 million. How much you think his
Per year?
No, it's a whole like probably 5-year contract. I don't know exactly the years, but it's a big mega deal. $228 million. I think the lottery is up around there.
Think he can feed his family on that?
He's gonna have other brothers and stuff in the NBA too. But yeah, 228. You think you gotta take 20%? How much do you think his agent makes? 10%? 15%?
At least 15, if not more.
His agent's getting 34.2 somewhere around there. Million on one. Plus then you gotta we're in the wrong profession.
Oh, I know.
We need to be sports agents.
I know.
Not sports talkers. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back. You're listening to The Watchdog.